From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us on the Noon News. Jason Stiff has our Thursday forecast, but first our top story. Yesterday marked the second day of testimony in the Butte Bondsman Trial. MTN's John Amy was there to hear testimony from the brother of the man accused of shooting a man in his home. And a warning, there is some harsh language in this story.
The brother of a man accused of a fatal shooting while assisting a Butte bondsman during a botched arrest in 2021 recently testified that he was proud of his brother after he used deadly force.
As awful as it sounds, I was proud of maker. This is a situation, and I hate that he had to do it. He was ready to protect and get out of that house.
His brother, Nicholas Jaeger, wiped away tears during that testimony. Nicholas Jaeger and Butte bondsman Jay Hubbard face felony charges of aggravated burglary and deliberate homicide in the shooting death of William Harris III the evening of December 19th, 2021. Hubbard had recruited both Jesse and Nicholas Jaeger to help him apprehend a bond jumper that was staying in Harris's Main Street home. While Hubbard wrestled with the wanted man, identified as David Sandoval, Nicholas Jaeger ended up fatally shooting Harris with Hubbard's handgun. Jesse Jaeger testified he was just outside the room where the shooting occurred and heard the exchange between his brother and the victim.
And then I hear Nick say, "Get the back, I'll shoot you."
Okay. And what happens?
And Bill says, "I don't care, I don't give a do it." And Nick says, "Get the back, I'm gonna shoot you." And he says, "Do it." And then I hear 2 shots.
Harris died from shots to the head and chest. Butte police also testified about evidence found at the scene. Defense attorneys for Hubbard and Nicholas Jaeger claim Hubbard was a bondsman and had the right to enter the home to apprehend the wanted man, and the shooting was self-defense. The trial continues. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
On this Thursday afternoon, taking a look outside along the high lines, you can see lots of clear sky for most of Montana. Some light breezes in southeastern Montana, but overall, quiet weather for us, and with a fairly clear sky. It was cold this morning. Wolf Point dropped down to 10 degrees below zero. Wilson, North Dakota, also down to 8 below this morning. Billings dropped down to 16. Butte was 5 below. Same thing with Havre this morning. So it was a cold start to a late winter day, but temperatures starting to rise with all that sunshine. Still pretty cool, but we'll start to warm things up. Right now, 34 degrees in Helena, 32 degrees in Missoula, and 28 degrees in Jordan. We have other changes ahead for this upcoming weekend and next week. Our complete 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Violent crime in Billings continues to be a major topic, even as new numbers show incidents of violent crime declined in 2023 for a second straight year. Police department staff are helping shed light on gang activity in town now and coming up with creative ways to address it. MTN's Charlie Kleps explains.
So the purpose of this conference is to circle back.
City officials gathered Wednesday as Police Chief Rich St. John shared an in-depth look at the crime in 2023.
In 2023, everything listed in that left category added up to 2908, which is a 3.2% decrease.
In total, violent crime cases, which include homicide, attempted homicide, sexual assaults, robbery, criminal endangerment, and assaults, dropped for a second straight year.
That being said, we are one bad weekend away from having that trend.
The police department experienced that firsthand in October when the city saw 6 shootings and 5 deaths, most gang-related, in just a 10-day span.
None of these cases were related. Most involved juveniles. All involved weapons. And frankly, it made 2023 a historic and tragic year.
Especially tragic, given the age of the suspects.
Of the juveniles that were present, the average age was 15 and a half years old. And when you add the few adults, brought the age up to 18.
That shocking change is due in large part to a growing gang problem in Billings, one that has also caught the attention of U.S. Attorney Jesse Lazovich.
Even though we have different jurisdictions, we are united in addressing this issue.
The U.S. Attorney's Office is focused on stolen weapons.
Prohibited persons possessing firearms, that's us.
While the Billings Police Department is also making changes of its own.
I have the ability to reassign people temporarily. Happen to have a bona fide gang expert from another department that came to work here. He's the one that brought it to my attention that we have a bigger issue than I was recognizing.
Police made 40 gang arrests from June through the end of last year, and I've already made 20 this year. Progress that St. John is happy to see, knowing his department still has more work to do.
The only acceptable number of homicides or any violent crime for that matter is 0. We'll work for that goal, as lofty as it is.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
The Billings Youth Services Building, or Juvenile Detention Center, where many teens are sent after being arrested, is nearly at capacity. Just yesterday, there were 23 kids inside the 24-bed facility. Around 25% of youth at the center will stay for 30 days. Youth Services Director Valerie Weber tells us addressing this teen violence problem starts by addressing widespread mental health problems.
We need to put our money where our mouth is too. Our taxes need to be paying for mental health services, because we are going to pay if we leave untreated mental health problems in the adolescent system. It's even worse than it is in the adult system. We're going to pay the bill for that.
According to Billings Police, the average age of teens arrested for homicide in 2023 was 15 and a half. Abortion issues take center stage in the Montana Supreme Court. This time, it's a challenge to a 10-year-old law that's taken an entire decade to reach the state's higher court. In 2013, the Montana legislature passed House Bill 391. This prohibited anyone under 18 from getting an abortion without notarized written consent from their parent or legal guardian. It never went into effect. As Planned Parenthood of Montana sued over it, and the office of then Attorney General Tim Fox accepted a preliminary injunction. It's bounced around courtrooms in Montana since, until finally last year a district judge ruled it infringed on the right to privacy. Current AG Austin Knudson's office appealed that decision, bringing us to arguments yesterday.
Whatever interest the state has in promoting parental authority must be exercised neutrally, not as to favor childbirth over abortion, and certainly not to step in the shoes of parents to regulate the family relationship. And that is what the state is doing here.
As is typical, the court took no immediate action after yesterday's arguments. A judge in Helena has ordered the state to go ahead with a poll on whether lawmakers want to overturn a veto Governor Greg Gianforte made on the final day of the 2023 legislative session. Lawmakers say they were not informed the bill was vetoed before they adjourned the session, and a case was filed in district court to open up the chance for a veto override vote. Senate Bill 442 used tax revenues from marijuana sales for conservation, veterans needs, and county roads. The ruling does not guarantee lawmakers will be able to override Gianforte's veto, but it does start a 14-day clock for the governor and the Montana Secretary of State to either initiate a vote to override the veto, appeal the district court's ruling to the Montana Supreme Court, or both. The Office of Surface Mining, Reclamation, and Enforcement is accepting nominations for the 2024 Abandoned Mine Land Reclamation Awards. The awards recognize outstanding state and tribal efforts to reclaim abandoned coal, non-coal, high priority, and emergency projects. Several Montana reclamation projects have been recognized in the past, including a national award for the Comet Mine Reclamation in Jefferson County and the Spring Meadow Lake Reclamation Project, which was a West Region Award winner in 2012. In 2022, the Montana DEQ identified at least 7,000 abandoned mines in Montana. The awards are only open to state and tribal agencies. All nominations must be in by May 12th.